Let's talk about peer-to-peer lending. What started as this kind of niche fintech idea has just exploded into this huge, structured ecosystem. The idea itself is pretty simple, right? You're just connecting people who need a loan directly with people who want to lend money, basically cutting out the big banks. But how do you actually build the software that makes all of that happen securely and efficiently? Well, let's get into it. So on the surface, you might think, okay, all I need to do is build a website that matches borrower A with lender B. How hard can that be? But really, if it were that simple, everyone would have one. The real question is, what's actually going on under the hood? Yeah, it's not even close to being that simple. The reality is, it's way more complex. A really successful P2P platform isn't just a matching service, it's a blueprint for trust. It's an entire system that has to be meticulously designed, and it really stands on three core pillars: a super secure infrastructure, complete alignment with financial regulations, and a seriously powerful engine for assessing risk. So, to make sense of all this, we're going to walk through the 5 critical stages of how you'd build one. We'll start with laying the foundation, then we'll get into building the core engine, talk about crafting the user experience, cover how to fortify the platform, and finally look at what happens after you launch. Okay, first up, laying the foundation. This is all about going from that initial concept to a detailed blueprint. Before you even think about writing a single line of code, you have to get this strategic base absolutely right. So right at the start, you have to answer some key questions, and these decisions will shape everything else. I mean, what kind of loans are you dealing with? Personal loans, business loans, real estate? And who are your lenders? Are they just regular folks, or are they big institutional investors? And maybe most importantly, what's your regulatory setup? Are you a licensed entity, or are you partnering with one? These aren't small details, they define your entire roadmap. Okay, so once you have those strategic questions answered and your model is defined, the focus has to shift to the technical architecture. Think of this as the digital skeleton that's going to support your entire business model. It's not just one big program, but a whole collection of systems that have to work together perfectly. A really good way to picture this architecture is as a set of building blocks, or modules. You need a smooth onboarding process, right, for both borrowers and lenders. Then you need a super strict verification step for things like KYC, that's Know Your Customer, and anti-money laundering checks. Then comes a smart credit scoring engine, a system for listing the loans, and of course, a precise way to track all the repayments. Each part has to be solid on its own, but the real magic is making them all work together seamlessly. All right, that brings us to our second section, building the core engine. Now we're diving into the internal mechanics of the platform, the stuff that makes sure it's not just working, but that it's fundamentally stable and trustworthy. Let's be really clear about something. Compliance is not an afterthought. It's not a box you check at the end. It is a non-negotiable pillar of the entire structure. Things like identity verification and transaction monitoring have to be literally woven into the fabric of your workflows from day one. It's what protects your users, and frankly, it's what protects your business. Now, right at the very heart of your platform's stability is its risk assessment engine. A really robust system doesn't just pull a standard report from a credit bureau. No, it integrates with them, but it also pulls in alternative data to paint a much fuller picture. It automates credit decisions to remove human bias. And the really advanced platforms, they use machine learning to predict the probability of defaults and set pricing with incredible accuracy. This is the engine that protects lenders' investments. So once you've figured out the risk, you've got to make the match. And the core engine has to do this efficiently, pairing a borrower's needs with a lender's specific preferences. Things like how much risk they're comfortable with, the return they expect, and how long they want to invest. And you know what really builds confidence here? Full transparency into how the loans are performing. Lenders need to see that data. Okay, on to section 3. We've built this powerful engine. Now we need to build the interface that people will actually use. We're talking about crafting the user experience, the human side of the software, and this is absolutely critical for adoption and trust. You have to remember, you're essentially designing for 2 completely different types of users, and they want opposite things. Your borrower wants speed and simplicity, a seamless application, a fast decision, and terms that are easy to understand. Your lender, on the other hand, wants depth and control. They want to see all the data, all the risk analytics. They need tools to track their portfolio's performance and options to automatically reinvest their profits. A truly great platform has to serve both of these needs perfectly.
And holding that entire user experience together is the payment infrastructure. This is the plumbing of the system. It has to manage everything, from the first fund transfer to calculating monthly payments and handling reconciliations, and it has to do it with perfect accuracy and total security. I mean, when you are dealing with other people's money, there is literally zero room for error.
This brings us right to our fourth section, fortifying the platform. This is all about making the system tough as nails, focusing on enterprise-grade security, planning for future growth, and of course, relentless testing.
When we talk about security, we are talking about non-negotiable, enterprise-grade standards. This is so much more than just a password. All of your data has to be encrypted, both when it's moving and when it's stored. Multi-factor authentication is an absolute must to make sure users are who they say they are. And internally, you need role-based access control, which just means your employees can only see and touch the data they absolutely need for their job. It's a huge step in limiting internal risk. And here's a huge piece of advice. You have to plan for success from day one, because if your platform takes off, your transaction volume could explode almost overnight. This is exactly why modern platforms are built using a cloud-based microservices architecture. It basically breaks the system into smaller, independent services, so when one part gets busy, you can scale just that piece up without the whole thing slowing to a crawl.
And of course, before any of this sees the light of day, there is the final, absolutely non-negotiable phase, testing. You have to test everything, every financial calculation, every compliance rule, every single integration. I mean, this quote says it all. Any miscalculation directly impacts financial credibility. One small error can destroy the trust you've worked so hard to build.
Okay, let's look at our final section, launch and beyond. Because getting the platform live, well, that's not the finish line. In a lot of ways, it's actually the starting line for a process of constant evolution. Once you go live, the work is really just beginning. It becomes a continuous cycle of improvement. You're constantly monitoring the platform's performance. You're enhancing your fraud detection as new threats emerge. You're using new data to refine your risk models. And of course, you're always staying on top of any changes in financial regulations. So, after all of that intense work, what's the big payoff? Well, a well-designed system becomes this incredible engine for everyone involved. For borrowers, it means faster loan cycles. For lenders, it opens up brand new, diversified investment opportunities. And for the business running the platform, it means lower operational costs and a clear pathway to scalable growth. It's a win-win-win. So, as you can see, building a P2P lending platform is so much more than just playing matchmaker. It's about engineering a complex, secure, and regulated ecosystem from the ground up. It's a blueprint for trust. We've laid out that blueprint for you. So the only real question left is, what will you build with it?